हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम राम हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम राम हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण कृष्ण
Hare Krishna,
हरे हरे,
Hare
हरे
Krishna.
राम
Prabhuji, some
हरे
Mataji,
हरे,
Bhaktivinoda.
हरे
Prabhuji,
कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम हरे हरे,
Ajay
हरे
Prabhu,
कृष्ण
Hari Bol.
कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम हरे हरे, हरे
Is it
कृष्ण
audible,
कृष्ण
Mataji,
हरे
Prabhuji?
हरे, हरे राम हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji and Mataji, is it audible?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Yes, Prabhuji.
Yeah, yeah. Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Dandot now. So
Dandavata
please read
Pranam.
Mataji. Yeah, please read this one, Mataji.
There
See,
is
Mama.
another. This one,
Yeah, yeah.
Prabhuji. Yes,
Yeah,
Prabhuji.
read.
There is another similar verse in the Srimad Bhagavatam in the 12th canto, 3rd chapter, 12.3.51. Parishit Maharaja was informed by Sukadeva Goswami of the faults of this age, and now all the symptoms of the age of Kali are apparent. In the conclusive portion, however, Sukadeva Goswami said, Kalir dosa nidhe rajan astihi eko mahan gunaha. My dear king, this age Kali is full of faulty things. But there is one good opportunity. What is that? Kirtanat eva Krishnasya mukta sangha param vrajet. Simply by chanting the Hare Krishna mantra, one can become liberated and go back to Godhead. The science of self-realization. Hare Krishna,
Hare
Krishna
Krishna.
Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare
Hare
Rama,
Ram.
Hare Rama, Rama
Ram.
Rama, Hare Hare. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much for reading. This is from Srimad Bhagavatam. Kalir Dosh Nidhe Rajan Asti Hek Mahaguna. Great quality, great opportunity is Kirtanadeva Krishnasya Mukta Sangha Paraprajit. Simply by chanting Hare Krishna, one can become liberated and go back home, back to the Hare. Kirtanadeva. Kirtanadeva Krishnasya. Simply by chanting Krishnasya. Krishna's name, chanting the holy names of God. Mukta Sangha Paraprajit. Become liberated and go back home, back to God. This is written in the Science of Self-Regulation, Prabhupada's words. So 12.3.51, remember always. 12.3.51. 12th canto, 3rd chapter, 51 verse. Many references actually, many references from scriptures. Chant the holy names of the Lord. That is the only means to self-realize and go back home, back to God. In this age of Kali. Yeah, without delay, we'll start with Mangalacharana. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देश धारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे उपकरोति वाचालं मंगलं लंघयते गिरिं कृपादं मुमुन्दे श्री गुरुं दीनतारिणं परमानंद माधवं श्री चैतन्य ईश्वरं पवित्रा पवित्रो वा सर्वावस्थं गतोऽपि वा यस्मरेत् पुण्डरीकाक्षं साध्याभ्यन्तरं सचिः श्री विष्णु So you're all able to see PDF. Hare Krishna.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yeah, we will read from 134. Yeah. We did up to that part only, right? 134, yeah, we'll read, yes. Yeah. Start Mataji, Deepa Mataji, Hare Krishna, please join.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Dandavat Pranam. 134 to 141. Moods of Lord Nityananda in serving Lord Chaitanya. 134b to 135. In transcendental emotion, he calls himself a servant of Lord Chaitanya. Sometimes he serves Lord Chaitanya as his guru, sometimes as a friend, and sometimes as a servant. Just as Lord Balarama played with Lord Krishna in Vraja as a friend, acting just like ordinary boys, they played like roaring bulls as they fought each other, and they imitated the calls of various animals. Srimad Bhagavatam 10.11.40. Vrishayama Manav. As a guru, Lord Krishna massages Lord Balrama's feet. Sometimes when Balrama felt tired after playing and lay his head on the lap of a cowherd boy, Krishna himself served him by massaging his feet. Srimad Bhagavatam 10.15.14. Kvachit Krida. As a servant, he considers himself a servant and knows Krishna to be his master. Thus, he regards himself as a fragment of his plenary portion. Balrama considers Krishna his master. Who is this mystic power, and where has she come from? She must be the illusory energy of my master, Lord Krishna, for who else can bewilder me? Srimad Bhagavatam 10.13.37. Keyam Vakuta Ayata. Balarama says he is a portion of Krishna. What is the value of a throne to Lord Krishna? The dust of his lotus feet makes the holy places sacred. And the masters of various planets, even Brahma, Shiva, Lakshmi, and I myself, who are all portions of his plenary portion, eternally carry that dust on our heads. Balrama to the Kauravas, Srimad Bhagavatam 10.68.37. Yasyangri Pankaja. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Do you want to add anything, Mataji, by reading this? In this section, moods of Lord Nityananda and serving Lord Chaitanya. As a friend, as a guru, as a servant, anything to add?
Nothing specific, Prabhuji.
Pretty straightforward. He is serving Lord in different forms.
In different forms.
Thank you, Mataji. Samyuta, please read.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yeah. Hare Krishna.
142, 160. Lord Chaitanya is the only supreme controller. 142. Lord Krishna alone is the supreme controller and all other are his servants. They dance as he makes them do so. Ekale Ishvara Krishna, Arasabha Nritya, Yare Yecha Nachaya, Setaiche Kare Nritya. Thus Lord Chaitanya is also the only controller. All others, his juniors, equals or superiors, are all his associates or servants who help him in his pastimes. He fulfills his aims with their help. Advaita Acharya and Nityananda Prabhu are his principal associates. Lord Advaita Acharya is directly the Supreme Lord Ishvara, although Lord Chaitanya accepts him as his preceptor Guru. Advaita Acharya is a servant, Kinkara, of the Lord. He has delivered the entire world by making Lord Krishna decent. One should respect one's spiritual masters, God brothers, as one respects one's own spiritual master. Lord Nityananda formerly appeared as Lakshmana and served Lord Rama as his younger brother. The activities of Rama were full of suffering, but Lakshmana tolerated that suffering. As a younger brother, he could not stop Rama from his resolution, and so he remained silent, although unhappy in his mind. Among the sannyasis of the Shankar Sampradaya, there are different names of brahmacharis: Swarupa, Ananda, Prakasha, and Chaitanya. As a brahmachari, Nityananda Prabhu's name was Nityananda Swarupa. As Balrama, he became Krishna's elder brother to serve him and make him happy. Rama and Lakshmana, the plenary portions of Krishna and Balrama respectively, entered into Krishna and Balarama at the time of their appearance. They are both supreme lords. Krishna and Balrama are described in the scriptures as the original Supreme Personality of Godhead and his expansion. Govinda appears in his plenary portion. Govinda, the primeval Lord, by his various plenary portions, appears in this world in different forms and incarnations, such as Lord Rama, but who personally appears in his supreme original form as Lord Krishna. Brahma Samhita 5.39 Ramadi Murtishu. Nityananda's glories. Lord Chaitanya is the same Krishna and Nityananda is Balrama. Lord Nityananda fulfills all of Lord Chaitanya's desires. The ocean of his glories is infinite and unfathomable. Only by his mercy can I touch even a drop of it. Now Kaviraja Goswami relates his own story of how he received the mercy of Lord Nityananda. He says, though it is not proper to reveal the confidential narration, he does so make his mercy known to all. Thus he begs for Lord Nityananda's forgiveness. Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna. So this one is linking like from this section to other section. And whenever he is putting this, it's a note point. Important to remember. That way we can understand. Lord Chaitanya is the only supreme controller. And everything is controlled by controller, supreme controller. Everything is controlled by supreme controller. And, thus, Lord Chaitanya is also the only controller. All others, juniors, equals, and superiors. Advaita Acharya, directly the Supreme Lord. He accepted, although Lord Chaitanya accepts him as a receptor, Advaita Acharya is a servant, kinkar of the Lord. He has delivered the entire world by making Lord Krishna descend. He only prayed. Lord Advaita Acharya's prayers, Lord Krishna appeared in the form of Lord Chaitanya. So one note point, like spiritual masters, God brothers, just similar to one's own spiritual master. We have to give proper respect, just like we give to our spiritual master, etc. Lakshmana, another name of serving Lord in Lakshmana, brother.
Prabhuji, Shankar Sampradayamlo 4 names are Prabhuji in the. Yes, Prabhuji.
Different names for Swarupa, Ananda, Prakash. They names at the end. Their names, Mataji, like different Prakash, Ananda, Saraswati. Some ending with Ananda, Swarupa, or begin with Swarupa, Ananda. Their names.
These are all names related to Shankar Sampradaya, Prabhuji.
Yeah, Shankara Sampradaya.
Okay, Prabhuji.
Yes, and one thing, as Balarama, he becomes Krishna's elder brother and serve him. Rama and Lakshmana. Simple. Balarama, Lakshmana, in different yugas, in different way of expressing servitude through expansion of Lord. Ultimately, this is Lord only, but he wanted to experience. These are Leelas, actually. Yeah. They are both Supreme Lord. Krishna and Balarama are described in the scriptures as the original Supreme Personality of God and his expansion. Creation comes from dash. Creation comes from Haribol. Mata's Prabhu. Creation comes from Hare Krishna.
Mahavishnu. Vishnu.
Creator, simple. The confusion level. Creation comes from creator, right? Who will create? Creator. Right? Creation comes from creator. So is created by, yes, of course, is expansion, Balarama, but created by whom? Come from whom? That's why they both are Supreme Lords. The expansion and the personality himself. Nityananda glories. Nityananda glories, Lord Chaitanya is the same Krishna, and Nityananda is Balarama. Simple. If we put Gaurnidaya deities and performing worship, somebody asks, if somebody knows Gaurnidaya, we simply say it's a Krishna Balarama. Lord Nityananda fulfills all of Lord Chaitanya's desires, serving The ocean of his glory is infinite and unforgettable. And here, connected point. What is the here? Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami relates his own story. So in this section, the power of Lord Nityananda servants, story of Sri Meenaketana Ramadasa. Sandhya Mother, you want to read this section? Actually, this is the last section, it seems, no? Yeah, last section. You can read some. We all read some of the verses. Okay. Sandhya Mata, are you
Yes,
ready to
Prabhuji.
read? Yeah, please read, Mata. We'll complete today anyway. Yeah. Yeah, please read from
161 to 179. The power of Lord Nityananda's servants. Story of Sri Meenaketana Ramadasa. 161 to 163. Sri Meenaketana Ramadasa, a servant of Lord Nityananda, was a reservoir of love. Once he visited my house where there was Sankirtana day and night. Absorbed in emotional love, he sat in my courtyard and all the Vaishnavas bowed at his feet. His ecstatic symptoms. In a joyful mood of love of God, he sometimes climbed upon the shoulder of someone offering obeisances, and sometimes he struck others with his flute or mildly slapped them. A constant shower of tears flowed from his eyes. Eruptions of ecstasy, like kadamba flowers, appear on his body. One limb would be stunned while another would be trembling. Whenever he shouted aloud Nityananda, people would be astonished. Instant with Gunarnava Mishra. One respectable Brahmana named Sri Gunarnava Mishra was serving the deity. He did not offer respect to Meenaketana, who was seated in the yard. Seeing this, Ramadasa became angry and spoke, Here I find the second Romaharshana Sutta, who did not stand to show honor when he saw Lord Balarama. Saying this, he danced and sang to his heart's content, but Gunarnava Mishra did not become angry, for he was then serving Lord Krishna. Meenaketana Ramadasa was a great devotee of Lord Nityananda. The behavior of Gunarnava Mishra indicated that he had no great respect for Lord Nityananda, and this idea was not at all palatable to Ramadasa. Thus, the mentality of Ramadasa is never condemned by devotees. Fight with my brother. At the end of the festival, Meenaketana offered his blessings to everyone. At that time, he had some controversy with my brother, who had some faith in Lord Chaitanya, but only a dim glimmer of faith in Lord Nityananda. Knowing this, Sri Ramadasa felt unhappy. I rebuked my brother. These two brothers are like one body. If you don't believe in Lord Nityananda, you will fall down. If you have faith in one but disrespect the others, your logic is like Ardha Kukuti Nyaya, the logic of accepting half a hen. It is better to be an atheist by slighting both brothers than to be a hypocrite by believing in one and slighting the other. Sri Ramadasa broke his flute in anger and left. At that time, my brother fell down. After describing the power of the servant of Lord Nityananda, another characteristics of his mercy is described below. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji. Power of the servant of Lord Nityananda. Nityananda servant, who is this? This devotee. Right? Story of Sri Meenaketana Ramadasa. Different expressions mentioned here. Ecstatic symptoms. Actually, this is there in the Chaitanya Charitamrita also. Sorry, Chaitanya Sikshashtakam. Sikshashtakam verse also. The ecstasy. No, completely absorbed in Krishna's holy names. Sometimes on the devotee's body it appears these symptoms. Yeah, what is that verse? I don't. Standing on the head. one verse I remember. I'm just referring that verse also in the Sikshastakam. Ainanda Tanuja Kinta Patana Chume Yugaitam no. Ravish Prabhu, remember that one? Let me see. Sikshastakam. Sikshastakam. Praise. Okay. Sikshastakam. Yeah. Sixth one. Nayanam Gala Dashadharaya. Vadanam Gadgadaruddhaya Gira. Pulakaya Nishitam Vapu Kada Tavanama Grahane Bhavishyati. Oh my Lord, when will my eyes be decorated with tears of love flowing constantly when I chant your holy name? When will my voice choke up? And when will the hairs of my body stand on end at the recitation of your name? It relates to this verse here. The ecstasy of the devotee. Similar. Like eruptions of ecstasy like Kadamba flowers. Kadamba flowers, have anybody seen? It's like just like ball, and on top of it some small needle like like in our body also the hair standing on the end. That's what in the Chaitanya Charitamrita that's the Siksha comes. So purity, complete ecstasy, only after get rid of all the impurities. Since with love, that these kind of symptoms can be expressed in pure devotees' bodies. So he's a pure devotee. That's what I pointed to say here. Yeah. Let us go through another characteristic of his mercy. He is explaining, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami is explaining and connecting to Lord Nityananda mercies through various associates. And now he is explaining here. So who are not in. Roger bro, please read this section.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Yeah, please read. Yeah,
180 to 199. Lord Nityananda appears in Kaviraja Goswami's dream. Nityananda appears in dream that night. Lord Nityananda appeared to be in the dream of because of my good quality in chastising my brother. I fell at his feet, offering obeisances, and he then placed his lotus feet upon my head. Arise, get up. Upon rising, I was greatly astonished to see his beauty. Nityananda's beauty and features. Glassy, blackish complexion, with a tall, strong, heroic stature, he seemed like a cupid. Beautifully formed hands, arms, and legs, and eyes like a lotuses. Dressed in silk cloth, and wore a silk turban. Wore golden earrings, armlets, bangles, tinkling ankles, and a garland. Body annotated with sandalwood pulp and tilaka marks. Movements surpassed those of a maddened elephant. Face was a more beautiful than the millions of moons. Teeth like a pomegranate seeds because of his chewing beetle. Body moved to and fro, right and left, for his was observed in ecstasy. Chanted Krishna in a deep voice. Red stick moved in his hand. He seemed like a maddened lion. His devotees, dressed like a cowherd boys, surrounded his feet like a bees and also chanted Krishna, observed in ecstatic love. Some of them played horns and flutes. Some danced and sang. Some offered betel nuts, and others fanned him with a chamaras. 193 to 96. Lord Nityananda's order to go to Vrindavana. Seeing such opulence in Nityananda Swarupa, I was overwhelmed with a transcendental ecstasy. He then smiled and said, "Oh my dear Krishnadasa, do not be afraid. Go to Vrindavana. For there you will attain all things. Directing me toward Vrindavana by waving his hand, he disappeared. Note point. In this text section, in the text section, Kaviraja Goswami explained the statement of Lord Nityananda in Vrindavana will attain all things. 197 to 199. Kaviraja Goswami goes to the Vrindavana. I fainted. My dream broke, considering it the Lord's order. I started for Vrindavana that very second, and by His mercy, I reached there in a great happiness. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Thank you so much. So here, beautification, the beauty of Lord Nityananda Prabhu. When I read this one, I am remembering one song. Face was more beautiful than millions of moons. Nitai Chandra, Nitai Pada Kamala, Koti Chandra, Sushitala. Wonderful song, Lord Nityananda Prabhu. Nitai Pada Kamala, Koti Chandra, Sushitala. Chandra, the millions of moons. This cooling beauty. See, we are reading, but we have to remember, I mean, it's very hard. At least try to envision the beauty of Lord Nityananda Prabhu. So see every point, how beautifully explained here. So we are practicing devotional life means whose mercy? From whose mercy we are understanding these literatures, from whose mercy we are understanding, we are at least trying to practice bhakti. From whose mercy?
Guru's
Is this personality. Nityananda Prabhu's person. Spiritual master from Adi Guru. Everything from Krishna only, but present representations. Yeah. So here in the next section, in Vrindavana, you will attain all the things. So this is the last section of this chapter. So Krishna's humility and Lord Nityananda's mercy upon him. Lavish Prabhu, you are able to read? Hare Krishna, Lavish Prabhu. Are you able to read, Prabhu? Driving. Okay. Sure. Let me read. Krishnadasa's humility and Lord Nityananda's mercy upon him. 200 to 204 verses. All glory to Lord Nityananda, by whose mercy I attained shelter. In the transcendental abode of Vrindavana, 200 to 210, at the lotus feet of Sri Rupa and Sri Sanatana, by the mercy of Sanatana Goswami, I learned the conclusions of bhakti. And by the grace of Rupa Goswami, I tasted the highest nectar of devotional service. 201, 203, 210. Sanatana Krupaya Painu Bhakti Rasiddhanta. Sri Rupa Krupaya Painu Bhakti Rasa Pranta. Of Sri Raghunatha Dasa Goswami and Sri Swarupa Damodara, of Sri Radha Govinda. Anyone desiring to become expert in the service of Sri Radha and Krishna should always aspire to be under the guidance of the Goswamis. To come under the protection of the Goswamis, one must get the mercy and grace of Nityananda Prabhu. Similarly, in our life also, come in contact with a proper, systematic, bona fide sampradaya. His mercy is there. Nityananda Prabhu's mercy is there in our life also. 205 to 206. Krishna's humility. I am more sinful than Jagai and Madai, and even lower than worms in stool. Anyone who hears my name loses the results of his pious activities. Anyone who utters my name becomes sinful. Jagai Madai haite muni se papista, puri se rakita haite monti se laghista. Mora nama sune ye tara punya akshaya, mora nama laya ye tara papa haya. This is Krishna's humility can be expressed in these two, the Jagai Madai pastimes, and this is a humble position it took place. Nityananda's magnanimity. Who in this world but Nityananda could show his mercy to such an abominable person as me? because he is intoxicated by ecstatic love and is an incarnation of mercy. He does not distinguish between the good and the bad. He delivers all those who fall down before him. Therefore, he has delivered such a sinful and fallen person as me. Preme matta nityanda krupa avatara uttama adhama kichuna kare vichara. 11 to 15. Lord Madan Mohan or Madana Gopala, the chief deity of Vrindavana, is directly the son of King of Raja. He enjoys the Rasa dance with Srimad Radharani, Sri Lalita, and others. Manifesting himself as the Cupid of Cupids, he attracts the hearts of all by his own sweetness. Bhagavatam 10:32-2. Tasham avirabhu chaurihi. 216 to 17, 227. Nityananda Mercy showed me Madana Gopala and made him my master. He granted the sight of Lord Govinda to one as low as me. Glories of Lord Govinda. Lord Govinda sits upon a throne of gems, Ratna Simhasana, on an altar of gems, Ratna Mandapa, in the principal temple of Vrindavana, Yoga Pitha. Amidst a forest of desired trees, Kalpataruvana, manifesting his full glory and sweetness, thus enchanting the entire world. 220. Enjoyer of Rasalila. By his left side is Radharani and her friends with whom he enjoys the Rasalila and other pastimes. 221 to 223. He attracts everyone. Brahma worships him with the Ashtadashakshara mantra. Brahma worships him with the Ashtadashakshara mantra. Everyone in the 14 worlds meditate upon him. Residents of Vaikuntha sing of his qualities and pastimes. Lakshmi is attracted by his sweetness, which Srila Rupa Goswami has described as follows. Okay, so here Ashtadashakshara mantra is one of the Gayatri mantra of whoever second initiated ISKCON. We recite every day 3 times. Every day 10 times in 3 Trisandhya, right? Morning, afternoon, and evening. Klim Krishna Govindaya Gopijana Vallabhaya Swaha. That is the Ashtadashakshara mantra. Klim Krishna Govindaya Gopijana Vallabhaya Swaha. And whoever took Brahman initiation, they resides within the mind, not outside. But in this 221, 223, Prabhupada explained that in purport. To understand what exactly the Ashtadashakshari mantra. 224, don't look at Govinda at Keshi Gata if you have material attachments. Bhaktara Samhita Sindhu 1-239. Smeram Bhangi Traya Parichitam Sachi Vistirna Drishtim. Sachi Vistirna Drishtim. He smiles, his body is bent in 3 places, and he casts sidelong glances. So Krishna's form, right? Sidelong glances with bending form. That's what he is describing. Vamshi Nyastadara Kisalayam Ujwalam Chandrakena. He places his flute to his lips, which seems like newly blossomed figs, and he appears bright in the moonshine. Govindakyam Haritanum Ita Keshi Tirtho Pakante. He is known as Govinda. His body is transcendental, and he stands on the banks of the Yamuna at Keshi Ghat. Ma prekshita stava yadi sakhe bandhu sangesti rangaha. My dear friend, if you are indeed attached to your worldly friends, do not look at him. So this one, it comes in Bhakti Rasamrita. We read it as part of Bhakti Shastri 4th module. We'll read the same verse there. So don't look at Govinda at Keshagada if you have material attachments. That's the title. 225 to 226. I'll give it to Mother. Mother, you can read 1, 2, 3. You conclude with this.
Okay, Prabhuji. Undoubtedly, he is Brajendra Sutta. Only a fool considers him a statue, and for that offense he cannot be liberated, but will fall into hellish condition. The Lord can appear anywhere and everywhere because his diverse energies are distributed everywhere like sunshine. Thus, one should not differentiate between the Lord and his Archa form. Even if one has not developed his consciousness, one should accept it theoretically from the instructions of the spiritual master and should worship the Archa Murti as non-different from the Lord. Vaishnavas. All the Vaishnavas in Vrindavana are absorbed in chanting the all-auspicious name of Krishna. Sri Chaitanya and Nityananda are their life and soul. They do not know anything but Radha Krishna Bhakti. By Lord Nityananda's mercy, I attained their dust, Padarenu, and the shade of their feet, Padachaya. Lord Nityananda said, in Vrindavana, all things are possible. I have explained this statement and described my story without reservations. The present city of Vrindavana has been established by the Gauda Vaishnavas since the 6 Goswamis went there and directed the construction of their different temples. Prakrita Sahajiyas. Any sect that differentiates between Lord Chaitanya and Radha Krishna, either by worshipping Radha Krishna as distinct from Lord Chaitanya or by worshipping Lord Chaitanya but not Radha Krishna, is in group of Prakrita Sahajiyas. The glories of Lord Nityananda's transcendental attributes are unfathomable. Even Lord Sesha, with his thousands of mouths, cannot find their limit. Nityananda Prabhura Guna, Mahima Apar, Sahasra Vadane, Sesha Nahi Paya Yanra. Prayer to Rupa Raghunatha. Shri Rupa Raghunatha, Pade Yara Asha. Adilila 1.110.
Sri Rupa Raghunatha, Pade Yara Asha. The only hope in their footsteps. Sri Rupa Raghunatha, Pade Yara Asha. Prayer to Sri Rupa Raghunatha. The last verse of this chapter, Adilila 5th chapter. The glories of Nityananda's transcendental attributes are unfathomable. This verse meaning. Even Lord Shesha, with his thousands of mouths, cannot find their limit. Nityananda Prabhura Guna Mahima Para Sahasravadane Shesha Nahi Paya Yanra. Haribol. How many of us remember? It's a big chapter. The next day is done. Wiped out. Everything is wiped out in our memory. Let us intensely pray. At least remember important points and put into our devotional practice. Of course, Kali Yuga is Manda Buddhi, not only us, but the material people also, materialists also. The nature of Kali Yuga is Manda Buddhi. One of the qualities is Manda Buddhi. That's why we have to shine. We have to repeatedly read and remember and understand. So even though if you are not understanding by reading this big chapter, we get mercy of Lord Nityananda. Definitely we get the mercy of Lord Nityananda. We are trying to understand at least. We are trying to spend some time. Okay, that is the only confidence. That we are not reading any mundane literature. It's connected with Supreme Lord's expansion as first personality. Nityananda Prabhu, Balarama, Adishesha, Lakshmana. We are remembering him through his expansion. We are spending time with him. We are already a couple of days. We are regularly reading on this chapter. Review. This is a review. Thank you so much. With one prayer, I'll read one time. I will recite one time. You all recite one time, and we'll end up this call. Okay. You all remember that one, right? Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Andar okkokari paadavandi. Done.
Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Advaita Gaura Chandra Gaura Bhakta Vrinda.
Jaya Advaita Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Raju Prabhu, sing gatiga.
Acha. Jayo Jayo Sri Chaitanya Jayo Nityananda Jaya Advaita Gaura Chandra
Jaya Advaita Chandra Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Sandhya Mataji, Samyukta Mataji, and Lavish Prabhu. Lavish Prabhu?
Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Advaita Chandra.
Right. Haribol. Samyukta Mataji, Sandhya Mataji. Manchiya, gatiga vaadandi.
Jaya Jaya Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Advaita
కలిసి కాదు మాత్రం మళ్ళీ వాడండి సంయుక్త మాత్రం. థ్యాంక్ యూ సంధ్య వాడండి.
Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jai Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda.
Thank you so much. We remembered one verse from this chapter. He repeatedly this comes.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
repeatedly comes. Chaitanya
My wife also want to sing, Prabhuji.
గట్టిగా మాతాజీ పాడండి.
Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Shri Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda.
హరి బోల్ ఇంకో 2 సార్లు వాడండి మాతాజీ. ఇంకో 2 సార్లు వాడండి. పాడండి.
Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Shri Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. చాలా ప్రభుజీ.
ఇంకోసారి 3 times 2 times అయింది. ఇంకోసారి మంచిగా పాడండి.
జయ జయ శ్రీ చైతన్య జయ నిత్యానంద శ్రీ అద్వైత చంద్ర జయ గౌర భక్త బృంద.
ఇందులో ఈ పాటలో మనం కూడా ఇంక్లూడ్ అయినాం. ఎట్లా చెప్పండి? లాస్ట్ ఇన్ దిస్ సాంగ్ వి ఆర్ ఆల్సో ఇంక్లూడెడ్.
గౌర భక్త బృంద.
హరి బోల్. థ్యాంక్ యూ. Let us play in that mood. Thank you so much for joining. Pancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhyascha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavibhyo namo namaha. Ananta koti vaishnavrinda ki jai. Srila Prabhupada Transcendental Book Reading ki jai. Nidai Gaur Hari Premanande Hari Hari Bol. Have a happy Krishna conscious day. This Prabhuji. See you all tomorrow. Nandad Pranam. Okay? Hare Krishna.
హరే కృష్ణ.